Let me know. Hello, and welcome to Pure Conversations. Let us know your name, where you're watching from, if you would like to chat with us, and we can be able to see you through social media. Then you'll want to click that link and enable StreamYard. You have to give them permission so they can, because Facebook has its privacy rules. Give them permission to show your name. Otherwise, we have no idea who we're talking to. So, in the comments, though, if you opt out of that, any comment that you make sure that you leave your name with it so we can see you. If you're friends with any one of us who you see on the screen, definitely shout out who invited you, who shared the link and everything. So, if you don't know me, I am Sharita Reed. Okay, I'm a women's wellness and intimacy coach. So if I'm your person, drop that in the comment. You have my co-host, Sassy Shaw, intimacy coach. So if you are one of her friends, VIP members, clients, go ahead and shout her out. We'll see your comments right here. And you have Kathy, sexual health and wellness coach as well. Do it again, Kathy. Do. And so if Kathy is the one who you click this link through, go ahead and shout her out as well. We also have a guest on, okay? We have a male guest on. We're super excited about that. We get some different perspectives and everything. Mr. Texas Tommy is on with us. Wave to the people. Wave to the people.
How
There
y'all
we go.
doing?
There we
We done threw him in the mix, huh? He wasn't ready for this.
go. You wasn't ready. See, you gotta know what you're getting
When
into
you
before
pull
you.
up with Sassy Shaw, you never know what might happen now. Better
So
stay ready
this
so you have to get ready.
exactly. So this is our show where we typically come on. We'll talk about a particular topic. We give our it's like a roundtable. We give our opinions, but we love having, of course, comments and guests and things come on to kind of throw that in the mix as well. So we have a nice dynamic, and we just have a little discussion. So our topic this evening is relationship deal breakers and red flags. Now I know some people, are married. Some people are in, committed relationships. Some people are dating.
Single
Some
as a
people are
Pringle,
not looking. Single as a what?
as a Pringle.
And so, even like I said, regardless of relationship status, of course, you're going to have those things that are just absolute no nos where you're just like, that's not going to fly. Fix this, or we got a problem. Houston, we have a problem. So we're going to share some of ours, and we hope that y'all would chime in. Share some of yours, put them in the comments. If you would like to come on, you can feel free to hit the link. I will, let me see if the comments will update. If you are commenting, I can definitely put that link in the comments. Charla, well, let me see who wants to go first and kind of share some of their deal breakers. I'm going to flip over to Facebook and it'll probably freeze me. So I'm going to let somebody else go.
Kathy, you gonna start us off?
Oh, okay, I guess. Well, some of my deal breakers is pretty straightforward. You can't be a narcissist, and be controlling, because I'm controlling. No, I'm just playing. But you can't be a narcissist because we got to work this thing out. We got to be together. I don't like to be controlled. We supposed to be together and working together and being in a relationship to have fun and just be together. But when you controlling me, it that ain't gonna work. That's a total deal breaker for me. How many I supposed to give y'all?
However many you have.
Oh well, I start. I ain't gonna give them all out, but
That's your main.
that's
That's your main one.
that's my main one. Yeah, I can't do narcissism. Of course, no abusive. No, if you try to hit me, I'm going to jail because I'm gonna fight back. There should be no domestic violence at all because I just don't play those type of games. As little as I am, but that's just total deal breaker for me. You try to hit me, I'm out. It ain't called for. Nope. And then communication. We gotta communicate with each other because if there's no communication about what's going on, there could be turmoil and things like that, and discrepancies, and we got to communicate with each other to make it work. So I'll just give y'all 3 and then elaborate more on my first 3. I probably got about 30 more, but they're my first 3.
Okay, Kathy gave us her 3. Who wants to share? Wants to share some of their no-nos, relationship
Some of
no-nos.
my no-nos, I probably got a list of 100 now. You must be consistent in your efforts.
Ooh.
I need consistency. Don't start nothing that you can't finish. I'm gonna keep it real. Oh, I'm out of page. I will solve it. Oh yes, okay.
Listen.
That's number 1 is consistency, and then I think number 2, I'm gonna say respect. Respect me. Respect me. Respect my opinions, even if you don't agree with it. Let's always keep that level of respect. And I always say that I'm not looking for nobody to love me. I'm looking for you to respect me. Because I feel like if you respect me, then I know damn well that you love me.
Correct.
So, yes, I always keep that level of respect. Again, even if it's something that you don't necessarily agree with. And number 3, and I also think that the respect goes with the honesty and truthfulness. I think that's all encompassed with one another. Because if you respect me, I don't feel like you'll lie to me. You'll always keep it 100. So that kind of makes it hard to pick what my number 3, because I think that one just kind of touches it all. But I guess number 3 is to, I guess, just, what would number 3 be? I need somebody that is, let me see, that can look not stuck in their box. That's open-minded.
Open-minded.
Try something new, willing to go out of their comfort level. For me, I go out of my comfort level for them. So I guess the number 3 would be, if you're not open-minded, then I don't really think we're gonna go too far. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Those are some good ones. Y'all. I got mine. Y'all want me to go? Tommy, would you like to go? I'm gonna last.
Oh yeah, I would share mine. My 3 things would be honesty, respect, and loyalty.
I like that loyalty.
Because honesty goes a long way. If I can't trust you to be honest with me and what's going on in your life and in your daily activities, then it's not gonna work. Respect, like she was saying, respect goes a long way. Whether it's me dealing with my family or me dealing with her family or something like that, or just in the street, or if we're with our friends or whatever, it's a certain amount of respect that goes. If me and my siblings are having a discussion and she's around, I need that level of respect for her not to put her 2 cents in at the moment. She may give her opinion later on, but just kind of know, like, when it's dealing with family, unless we're married. If we're married, then it's a different story. She has the right to say.
I was gonna ask that, but
yeah, if we're married, then it's a different story. But if not, then you kind of let the guy or let the female handle the situation accordingly. And then with the loyalty, I wouldn't want a woman that's in every guy's face and smiling and kikiing and doing this. And I know she wouldn't want the same, So for me, those would be my 3 things. If I can't get those 3, then something I don't think would last too long.
And I want to kind of piggyback on something you said. The second one, when you were saying, like, if there's an issue, like it's you and your siblings, right, and she's kind of there, let you handle it. I think even depending on the situation, even when you're married, there are certain conflicts and situations where I would expect you to handle. Like, let's say it was about me, it involved me, then I would expect you to take, to be the front runner and be like, listen, handle it, because I shouldn't have to step in and defend myself in that situation. Like I said, if it's your family, I kind of need to take a back seat, let you handle it first,
Right.
before I, kind of go there. So I would want that. That wouldn't even be a thing for me. I would want that. I wouldn't want to just pop off first and be like, oh, what they say, I got it. I would want you to be like, y'all need to chill out. That's not cool, blah, 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 whatever. And I can just kind of just sit back like this, like, he got it.
Baby got
He got it. He got it. So I would say my three, a little, I don't know, just a little more specific. Um, being mindful of me. And I think it may just be a different spin on saying like respect and things like that. But being mindful and considerate of me when you do something. We're all different. We all kind of have our things that to you this is cool, to me it's not. This is your trigger, that don't bother me. This is my trigger, that don't bother you. Okay. So, but let's say I hate dogs, right? I have a phobia of dogs. I don't. But let's just say I had a phobia of dogs. You wouldn't just be like, I'm going to go buy a puppy today and just show up and be like, boom, here. We have a dog now, right? You would be considerate of what bothers me, what triggers me before you make a decision. And that would go with anything. If you feel like, well, it's not a big deal to me, let me just go forth and do this without just taking that moment, take that second to think of me, how I would react, whether there just needs to be a conversation, whatever. Or sometimes you just know, you just be like, he ain't going for that, like at all. It's cool with me. He ain't going for that. This is something that I like. So, but it should definitely be something that's, mutual where everybody's good. You got to meet in the middle and compromise. So at least having the conversation. So being mindful of me it's just something that I've learned in 41 years of life. I've just learned that that's really, really important to me. It triggers me in a way when I feel like I wasn't considered in a decision. Like you didn't even think about how I would respond, how I would feel, whether that was cool with me or not. You just go do stuff and then inform me. Oh, y'all, that burns me. I don't like being informed. I want to be a part of it, but also even if a decision has to be made, it just gives me that security and comfort to know that you at least thought about me. If let's say you couldn't get a hold of me, you at least be like, okay, let me see what Sharita would probably feel about this. And you at least take what you know about me and add that into kind of your thought process before you make a decision. So that's so important to me because I don't know. I don't feel valued. I don't feel like my opinion matters when you're just not considerate of me. So that's a big one for me. I feel like there's some comments, but for whatever reason, they're not loaded on my dashboard. I have to flip over to my Facebook page. Another one for me, this is a deal breaker for me, y'all. I'm learning. It's immaturity. I'm a fun person. If you know me, I'm goofy, right? I'm a goofy person. We can laugh and joke. I can be real chill. We can have a good time. But when you just such a jokester to the point where it's just like there's kind of an adult humor, where there's some matureness in it. But when I feel like the stuff you're saying is like, how old are we? Like, are we in high school? Like, and I'm kind of looking like, feeling like I'm talking to a teenager. Then it's like, I'm kind of looking at you a little strange. So there's a certain level of humor that I can tolerate before I'm looking at you sideways. When it just goes too far left, where I feel like, regardless of your age, like there's a huge like age gap. That's always been a thing for me. And I think even as a teenager, I've always been a little more mature than my peers. And so that was always I don't know, that image when I can just see like, oh my gosh, you play too much. It's not, that wasn't funny. No one's laughing but you. Like that literally drives me up the wall. And it doesn't matter how good the other things are. That will take the forefront. And I just be looking at you like, oh my gosh, when does it end? And it's going to become really, really hard for me. Really hard for me to continue to connect when there's just a level of immaturity, even when it comes to serious things. Like we can't have a serious conversation because we keep getting derailed because you got a joke for everything. I'm trying to be transparent and serious, and then here you come, and I'm like, oh my gosh, stop! Like, drive me up the wall, up the wall. I'm sitting there and I'm just like, in this and blah blah blah, and then you got a joke.
Right.
So immaturity, I've just learned that gets my goat. That's definitely a deal breaker for me. If it's like massive, like I'm not serious all the time, but there's a time for everything. I'll put it like that. There's a time and place for everything. And if that's how you are all the time, where there can be no seriousness whatsoever, everything is a game, if you don't take anything serious, then I can't. I can't get with it. I can't get with it. Let me think. I know there's a third, and then I'm gonna flip over and check some of my comments. But um, one of the biggest ones for me is understanding boundaries. And we're gonna talk about this in a future show, but having boundaries to know like what's appropriate and what's not, as far as like how you were talking about like being in like loyalty, like she always in somebody else's face. So there are certain boundaries, there's just certain things you just sometimes just unspoken you just don't do. And if I have to, I've been through a lot in that department, so I'm at the stage where if I have to teach you boundaries, I'm just like there, like I said, there's certain things you don't do. I was actually reading something earlier today. It was like a question. It's like a conversation game, and it was saying like, if like for a guy, is it a big deal if your girl is laughing way harder at your homeboy's jokes than yours? Like at that moment, like everything is funny, that's the kind of atmosphere, everybody's laughing and joking around, and she just continuously is laughing like super duper hard at everything your boy is saying, and you kind of like, you're kind of gonna be looking like you're laughing a little hard, right? So that's just certain things where you just kind of have to curtail some things, and I feel like there's just some unspoken kind of parameters that should be in place as far as how you interact with the opposite sex when you're in a relationship, co-workers, whatever. Just certain things you do and certain things you don't do, how you introduce each other. I've been in spaces where I was not introduced at all, and they just weren't thinking about it. And even the people in the room were like, you just not going to introduce her? I mean, and it was like, oh, my bad. Yeah, this Sharita. All right. And I was like, oh, wow. And it was just like really, really weird. Really, 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 really weird. And he just wasn't thinking. He just wasn't. I'm gonna just take the F out the room. That was my husband, y'all. We separated, but that was my husband. He did that like 3 times. He just was so busy talking. He did not introduce me. And the people were like, oh, that's your wife? We've been talking for 10 minutes. And I'm just sitting there like, and there's the person you're talking to is a female. So it makes it kind of weird when who is this? Who is this? Where I am sitting there. I don't know, but they got blocked. When I'm sitting there in the space, there's another woman and there's a two-way conversation, and I'm the third person. And then, like it's just certain things, like I said, when it just comes to boundaries, and I don't know who that is, but I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, so having proper boundaries in place for your relationship, that's a very, very big deal. And if you don't value those, whether you understand them or not, like it's just that mutual respect for each other. If something is not cool with you, and you be like, listen, it's just not. I don't really have to. What is going on here? I don't have to. I don't have to agree with it, but I do have to respect it. I have no idea where these crazy comments are coming from, but I'm blocking them.
Pure Conversation, the Facebook page. Let me see.
Is that where it is?
I'm trying to see.
Let me flip over.
Because our groups are private.
Or you know what? It may be coming through the YouTube page. It may be coming through the YouTube page.
Oh, okay.
I can't see nothing, and I think it's good that I don't. Right?
Yeah. Oh, we do have a comment. This is one of my friends, Roy. Can y'all hear me still?
Mm-hmm.
But you can hear me. Roy says, "Say what you mean what you say." That's his number one. That's a good one. Having respect and honesty. Those are his three. Those are good ones. Saying what you mean and meaning what you say. I have this saying that says, your work should match your words. So if you are what? Oh yeah, it's got to be the YouTube, y'all. If you say something or promise something or whatever, then your intentions and all that should match up. And like your follow through is important. It's just as important as what comes out of your mouth. So if that's what you're saying, then your actions should match. Why? And it's not even letting me refresh or do anything. This is weird. But that's a good one. Saying what you mean and meaning what you say. Also, another one with that is that sometimes I know as women, we could say one thing. We could be like, I'm fine. We really ain't fine. We could be like, it's cool, and it's really not cool. So I know that's something as a woman, y'all. We got to get better with that because we'll kind of, I don't know why it won't let me delete this. We can, a lot of times not be as forthcoming with our, with how we feel. We just kind of be like, whatever. And I think that stems from us feeling like it's not going to matter or not be
right.
heard.
I was just about to say maybe.
Or it's kind of like how comfortable you are with that person. Because somebody who I'm really comfortable with, if I am going through something, I'm going to tell you exactly how it is that I feel.
Right.
But maybe somebody who, I'm just going to say, because I don't even think we went over this, but relationship status, like I'm single. So like every guy who, I conversate with, if I am having a bad day, I'm just not going to tell him, hey, it's an all right day. I'm not going to go into too many details because, maybe we just been conversating for a couple of weeks versus, somebody who I've been talking to for some months or a guy friend that I just had, I'm going to tell him exactly, hey, this is going on. Like, it's been one of them days. So I think it's that level of comfort and how, the more comfortable you are with somebody, the more vulnerable you'll be with it, and the more that you will let them in.
Because from a married status, I say everything. What's wrong with you?
See?
The kitchen ain't clean. What's wrong with you? You came home too late. I'm gonna tell you.
Right.
But I've been married for over a decade, so.
Yeah, a lot changes after that.
Yeah. In the beginning, it probably was like, boom, but now it's just like, and it's not always that part. It's just like, because men could be like that too. What's wrong with you? Nothing. They do the same thing sometimes.
Can y'all see?
I think men can sometimes be worse as far as opening up and being vulnerable.
Yep, they will not. Like my husband will not. So why is that, Texas Tommy?
Now, not all men have a problem opening up. It also depends on the level of communication that you and the woman have, whether it's in a boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband and wife should be able to share everything. Now, some men have a problem with this because they're not in tune with themselves on the inside. So they have should I say, like a machoism, like I can't tell my wife that I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling that way because she may not think of me. But I think that a woman would like to see that her man has a soft side to him.
You're right.
And be able to share some tears sometime, be able to say, hey, this is going on, this. And because a woman knows a man don't have it figured out every piece of the relationship. And so that's the whole reason why you come together, and so sometimes men just have that, like you say, they have a pride, the ego. They don't want to feel less of a man. They don't want to feel like they incompetent in ways. And sometimes men just have a problem, said, I don't know if it's something, how do you do this? I don't know. They don't want to say that. They rather tear it up and buy a new one and then say, well, it's done, and so I think just sometimes being in tune with themselves and having a higher power, knowing that if they don't have God or Jesus Christ in their life, then you're not going to be able to do that, because then you know that your strength don't come from yourself. So
right.
You have to be able to accept that.
And it's probably because they, like you saying, they probably don't get taught that from somebody. They're always taught to be have pride, and a man shouldn't cry because that's weak and things like that. So that probably is in tune with it as well.
Right. And so it takes sometimes it takes some drastic things for that shell to get broken. And once that shell is broken, then they can find out that, hey, men do cry. It's okay for men to cry. It depends on the situation. Because if your mother passed away or your father passed away, you mean to tell me you won't shed no tears then?
Right.
And so you're not too hard then. Or if you lose a child, you lose a loved one, you're sharing. And so I guess it's okay to share tears for that moment, but it's not okay to share for something else. And so tears are tears, regardless. Some people cry when they're happy. And so it's just a matter of perspective when it comes to that, and so some men just don't want to agree to it and some do.
I think it's key too, because when you think about how people grew up, the boys are supposed to, tough it out. The girls get to cry, but the boys is like, quit their crying, and kind of go on. And then they become men and they get married or they get into relationships, and then they're operating in what they know and what they've been taught. And then the woman is like, well, what's wrong with you? How come you don't share? How come you don't do this? And a lot of that is just conditioning. So it is important that when you are in a relationship that you do kind of drop that, start to kind of take that armor off. And women, sorry, y'all, these comments are crazy. And women allow men to do that and let him know that you are that safe space, because they only know what they know, and what they and what you're taught. So, but it is definitely appreciated when you can, just kind of soften up and drop it, because what happens is you're gonna like fall apart one day. You hold so many things in and yada yada, and then you get to that point and it's like a pot boils over and the lid pops off, or like you shake up a can of soda and then you pop the top, and then everybody's like, what's wrong with you? It's like, but you've been holding stuff in and been taught that you're supposed to all of your life for 20, 30, 40 years. So what else do you know? So being honest, older generation are ignorant. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. What? Y'all, we get this. This is YouTube. This is what we're not gonna do. We're not gonna stream to YouTube anymore. We'll just share it later.
Okay. Todd said women appreciate men who show vulnerability and honesty, and I do. I like, that's a whole another level of attraction that I can have for a man if they can be vulnerable and let their guard down. Like, I mean, because again, it's a very rare thing for men to be comfortable to do this. So I definitely agree with that. Not exactly. Yeah. So what are some so I know Kathy said she's been married for over a decade. I know Sharita is separated at the moment. I'm single. Texas.
But yes, I've been hold on.
You must have went to
commitment, honest communication is a must, and compromise. We got some more comments coming in.
Okay.
Commitment, honest communication, and compromise. Love those.
The attraction toward vulnerability is enough.
Okay, yeah, we're not doing that. Oh, that's good. I like that. The attraction towards vulnerability is the knowledge that they can use that can be used to exploit for your own purposes, maybe. And you know what? That's the risk you take with being vulnerable. It definitely needs to be somebody that you are comfortable with, that you know is not going to take those vulnerabilities and the things you share in those moments and use them later, y'all. Those are definite deal breakers. If you share something, if someone is close enough to you, enough to finally let the wall down and let you in, whatever, and be vulnerable and kind of break down a little bit and share something with you.
Yeah, and
Don't
no,
use it later.
that's not what the
That's a
attraction.
total low blow.
Yeah, he put it in the form of a question, but no, it's not to exploit them later on. I'm not
Right.
gonna
It's definitely
share something with
um
me in that moment. Is gonna stay in that moment. It's not gonna go outside. If it's just
right.
me and you in that moment, then that's something that's just between
Hmm.
you and I. So no, it's
And
not.
I think that goes to what we were talking about with being honest. Sometimes it's difficult to be 100% emotionally honest with everybody because you don't. It may be new. You don't really know them yet. So you do have to be a little careful. You do have to be guarded in some respects, simply because you really don't know them enough yet to get to a level of trust. There's got to be like a wall of trust that is built before you say, okay, I can relax within this space. I feel safe. The person you're with is supposed to be like your sanctuary. When you come into your house from work, right? Your home is your space where you're supposed to be able to drop all the stuff, all the junk that's out, and you're supposed to be able to have a safe space in your home. And that person is figuratively supposed to do that for you as well. So, um, if someone has regarded you as their safe space, taking that stuff later and then throwing jabs and low blows when there's conflict, mm-mm, that's whack. And then they never gonna tell you nothing else again.
Right.
That's gonna start breaking down the whole thing. That's gonna start breaking down the entire relationship, simply because you know now you got two problems. You can't even focus on the issue that you had because now you said something that can be taken back. You start to chip away at the trust, because I mean, when you are vulnerable, you literally standing there with all the armor is off. I'm totally exposed, and all of my vulnerable places. Like, let's think of an animal like a turtle, right? They have that shell for a reason. If they were to expose those really soft spaces, they're totally vulnerable of getting hurt. So someone exposes themselves in that manner, and then you take it for granted, and then or just turn around and straight, throw the low blow and go for the jugular with it and use that. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. That's a very, very, very big deal breaker for me, is try to use something against me. Um,
Right.
mm-mm. Can't do it. Can't do it.
Definitely.
William says he needs healing. And you know what? That's a good awareness to have, because a lot of that is why there's a lot of relationship issues now. There's so much healing that has to happen that people are not doing. And so sometimes some of our no-nos and red flags get unreasonable because we ain't healed nothing. And so now we like, don't do this, don't do that. You got, some people's list is rooted in a lack of healing. A lot of it is valid, but there are some things um, that's just like, I can't do what now? Like, wait a
So
minute.
do you think? So do you think that you should be totally healed before you get into a relationship?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that there's a certain level of healing that you can reach, like on your own. And then I think you get to that stage where you have like that first relationship out or whatever, where it's almost like it's time to put into practice everything that you have been kind of working to get better at. And I think it's going to be an ongoing thing. I think the new person would have to kind of know, where you've been. And not, they don't need to know everything, like all the details, but just kind of know kind of what your journey is, and they can support you in that. But I think you should work towards healing as much as possible. I don't think healing ever really stops, but having somebody who kind of understands where you've been. Let's say you have been in an abusive relationship. That's something that may always rear its ugly head, here and there. Well, certain things may trigger. Maybe it's somebody's voice, a certain tone or sternness that may kind of, make them at ease. So that person just should have that kind of awareness so that they can, just kind of support you in that as you heal. But I think that you should definitely work towards healing first. Till you get to that point where, you feel like you're in a good space.
And
so definitely make it a priority.
Yeah, as long as you're working towards it, because everybody at some point is going to need to heal from something. Everybody ain't perfect. They're saying everybody ain't perfect. So it just depends on, what you healing from. Like she said, abusive relationships is going to take a little longer. So what are you doing to get the help? Are you working on it? Stress issues, that's a big one for everybody else. So if you have trust issues, it's probably going to be kind of harder for you to move forward if you having trust issues, because you're going to be accusing the other person of everything that they're doing because of what the other person. So I really think it depends on what the situation is.
Mm-hmm. Now, see, when you talked about trust, I definitely think that that's one thing that you should be talking about healing, working independently on that first. I do think once you get into a relationship, it's gonna come up, and like I said, that person may be like, "Ooh, what's wrong with you?" As much as you can feel like, "Okay, I got this in the bag, I'm good." There's gonna be, something that they may do unknowingly that may spark, and you kind of looking like this or whatever. Just because I've my friends, and I've seen them kind of go through that where they have to still constantly self-correct. And I think that's a big thing. They have to still kind of keep themselves in check, but it kind of takes that communication. Like I said, like Kathy said, every situation is different, and if the person you're with kind of knows what your experience was that caused you to have such extreme trust issues, then we talk about like boundaries and everything. They can kind of be like, okay, I can see where you've been. I see that this kind of issue, for you, this is important to you. What can I do, to support you in this or make you feel a little better? I mean, if it takes, extra phone call, hey, I'm good, I'm here, blah, blah, blah. Then, I don't know. I think it's definitely something that can be worked through. We're getting some weird comments in here. But I don't know. I don't think there's a cookie cutter answer for that. I think it really depends on the person. I think it depends on your situation. If you just have trust issues because you just got them, but if there's definitely, some like a long-term, like deep-rooted kind of experience that you had, it could be from your parents. It could be, anything that could happen that is such a part of you that it takes a whole lot of uprooting. And that would be a situation where I feel like y'all could work together. They could best, kind of support you in that, and more so show you that there is somebody that you can trust. There is a trustworthy person in your life or whatever. And I think that would help kind of seal the deal on that healing process, to have somebody there that's like, I got you. I know this is a struggle for you, and I got you. You can trust me, and show it kind of in the actions, because I think that apprehension is always going to be there, just kind of depending on what the experience is. So
I know in the past I've met people that say they don't trust nobody, and it's because, for one, they don't trust themselves, and they're not trustworthy. So, and it's something internal that they have, and it comes out to other people because they know what they would do in a situation. They wouldn't trust anybody else in that situation. So it's sometimes more internal than it is the other person.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree.
Mm-hmm. I agree too. Sometimes they're like, well, that's what I would do. And so it's like you said, it's almost a deflection. This is what I would do. And so therefore you must be doing that too. Because if I was
Or
in
if
that
they might be
space, blah,
doing
blah,
it.
blah. Or they might be,
Yeah.
simply. So a lot of times, yeah, when they had a trust issue and the accusations are coming, it could be, because they, like you said, they don't trust themselves. I know I had a friend and she was married, and he didn't trust women. Like he didn't trust her. With certain things, he was always looking over his shoulder, accusing her of all kinds of things. She really didn't know what was going on. And kind of the more we talked, she found out that his mother had cheated on his father, and they divorced. And from that point, she always had like different men. Like there was a different man in and out of the house like every other week, even before they had even like officially divorced. Like there was always men like in. So he had developed a lack of trust with women because his first experience was his mother and what he saw her do. So he didn't trust women like wholeheartedly as much as he wanted to, and he tried. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it, and they caused a big issue to they're no longer married. It was just such a big deal because he just could not fully like unpack his bags with her and say, I totally trust you. Like there was he always had a little bit of apprehension with everything simply because and she did nothing wrong. It was all because of what he experienced with his mother. William said you that he experienced his mother betraying his trust. That's she spread rumors amongst friends that struggle with mental health issues. So even like with that, trust issues can begin with your experience with the family member or something like that, and those are so hard to get over because it's not like a relationship that you chose. These are people who are supposed to protect you, and be close to you. And if you can't be vulnerable with nobody, you're supposed to be able to be vulnerable with your parent. They're the people that are supposed to give you that foundation and give you that initial protection. So when you have stuff like that, it's gonna show up in your relationships. If you had trust issues with your dad, you may have trust issues with men. And if it was your mom, then you're gonna be looking at every woman sideways because you saw how your mom did.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
let's
ain't got
talk
no more
about so
comments.
we said relationship deal breakers and red flags. What would be
Red flag.
red flags that would make your eye twitch?
Ooh, ooh. Me. And this kind of wraps up everything. If you don't respect your mother, oh my gosh. If I see that there is such a lack of respect and how you talk as a man, how you talk to your mama. Because like I said, once again, that's the first lady in your life. How would you know how to treat me or any other woman? Or your daughter or things like that, because you wouldn't want your daughter to be involved with anybody who spoke to them like that. So your mother, for me, unless there's some history, like some kind of toxic, like story, like we talked about, where the parent is in the wrong. But if you don't have just a basic respect for your mom, I'm like,
Is there such thing as too much respect for your mom? I'm just throwing it out there.
oh, okay, and then the whole, like, I don't want to say the mama's boy, but when you don't know how to separate the two, where it's almost like you're in a relationship with your mom, like your mom comes first for everything. There's no boundaries there. You don't know how to put, like, hello, like I exist. And my opinion matters. And it's like, if your mom is always like your go-to person, like you're supposed to mesh with the person you're with, and your parent is not supposed to be the number one person. And it's not a competition, but you're supposed to give that respect to, if you're married, to the spouse. Y'all supposed to become one. So if you still going here, parent, and you're married, ooh wee.
But what about in the dating process though? Dating
That's
on the that's
hard.
what it is, a mama's boy. We gonna call it what it is. Those mama boys, they can make or break a relationship. I have
Mhm.
been there. And he was a mama's boy and it broke our relationship because it was just like I'm not gonna keep on going back and forth. And I guess then it didn't help that she didn't necessarily care for me, but she didn't have no reason. I guess she just didn't care for me because I was with her son and she saw how much her son was into me. But it caused problems. Like she used to do the little thing. He could be in my house and you'll come. Can you come mow the grass? Can you come? Can you come? Knowing that he's not gonna say no. So then, who you think got an attitude? Then, because we in the midst of doing something, and you get ready to do what? It
And
came out.
now you look like the bad guy. You look like you being weird or jealous or disrespectful because well that's my mama. And it's like, well yeah, but it's such a hard space I think when I see people go through that and they're dating because you feel like do I have that but not I don't want to say title, but do I have that space, that level of value where it starts to to tip the scales a little bit and you start to kind of prioritize me. I think that's what it is. And when we talk about mindfulness, once again, it's like consider me. Like how do you think that would make me feel if and you can see that it's being done intentionally. Like she knew very well that he was at your house, right? And so you just conveniently need your grass cut the moment we get
Or it
together to
gotta be
hang out.
right now. Like the grass ain't going nowhere, so it can wait till we finish. But it was like,
Hmm.
no, I want it done. I want it done now. Can you come now? Can you come? You know, can you come bring me a gallon of milk? It was like just little stuff. I'll be like, first of all, she know she don't need that right now. Then I be looking at him like, just cause she called don't mean you gotta go run it
You
like,
gotta go hop and
yeah.
So I got a
But it does
question,
be a hard
Texas
space,
Tommy.
huh?
I
oh,
got a
she got
question
it.
because I need a like a male perspective of it. If you married to somebody, right, and then you don't you say they say leave and cleave. You don't want them to leave their mom and stuff, but if they getting into it, right, just about you or whatever, and the wife comes to you as the husband to say, okay, can you have like Sharita was saying earlier, can you talk to your mom about XYZ, and then they don't, and then so you sitting there like, okay, I'm feeling crazy, and then the mama get what she want. What does a man think, or why does a man want to tell their mom something that their wife has an issue with?
I think it comes with the respect because a man and his mother is going to always have a bond that's going to be unbreakable, and if his wife has something to say to the mother about it, now he may tell her about it, but it may not be worded like she words, and so
Mhm.
it'll be easier to give it to her like that. And so in a situation where they may be getting into it, it may be over the man, it may be over something else, then the guy's going to really have to be a mediator in that situation and get everybody to see both sides from different point of views and try to get those situations resolved, because you don't want to lose your wife over something like that. You don't want to lose your relationship over with your mother over something like that. So you have to kind of play the mediator without taking sides, but trying to get each one to understand the other person's point of view.
So when he does none of that and just takes the back seat and lets the chips fall where they may, like
Then
what
he gonna forever be playing the fence. When he with his mama, he gonna let her say what she want to say about the wife, and when he's with the wife, he gonna let her say, and he just gonna try to keep them from being around each other, because then they gonna know that, oh, he told this, and a lot of times he might not even be agreeing with neither one of them, but if they get in each other's presence because he didn't disagree or step up and say something, they're gonna think that he agreed, and then he gonna say, well, he told me this about you, and he said this, and he said that, which it might not be true. It might be her own thoughts, but if you didn't correct them or address them at the time, she gonna think that you agreed. Either way. And so you're gonna find yourself.
I've seen it where the guy was just like, I don't like conflict. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm not saying nothing to nobody. Y'all figured it out. And that was the most unhealthiest response ever because it totally blew up. Because of course, you know, the mom is just like, you know, well, you know, you're my son. I love you. You love me. And of course, the wife is like, I'm your wife. And at a certain point, when do you protect me? When do you defend me? You know, like you said, you say it in a different way. But sometimes when you get in that space where nothing is said at all and it just lingers and he just like, ain't nothing to do with me. Like they cause such a bigger problem because no one wants him to be in the middle, but there has to be some kind of resolve where he says, listen, she got a problem with this. Not saying I agree, but this right here, this bothers her. Can you kind of chill out on that? Just, you know, I know you don't really get it, but just this don't work. Like something has to be said so that you start to kind of crack that, because otherwise it just builds and it festers. Because of course, like you said, he's gonna say a little more gently. Because either one of them.
You have to understand, age does not bring by maturity, and so if you're dealing with a 35 or 40-year-old immature man, then he's going to do those type of things, and so he's not going to be a man to step up, and the wife is going to see that, and then when she goes home, she's going to give him an earful. He may accept it, but I mean, you're going to play both sides of it. I mean, if a man just gets back and just let them go at it, that shows you that he's not a man. He's immature. No.
Tommy answered my question. He don't even
So they have, I mean, it's just, and then I mean, pretty sure that the relationship is gonna suffer from that. Now the mother would always be there, because if the relationship goes south, then guess who he's gonna run back to? And then Mama gonna say, well, I didn't like her in the first place, and you don't need to be with her and this, that, and the other. You see, so that's how that works.
Yeah.
So I probably have the unpopular opinion when it comes to this. I don't know, we'll see. But even when you just made the comment about about they don't like conflict. A person who does not like conflict. To me, that also gives me red flag vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a person who says that is a very immature person as well. Conflict is a part of life. Do we want to embrace that? No, we don't. But when you look at it in actuality, that is a part of life. And there is always going to be some situation that you're not gonna like. Like how we say, no relationship is perfect. No situation in life is always going to be perfect. So you have to have some kind of conflict resolution skills. Be it even if it's just dealing with a job. You know, like, I mean, we all grown, we have bills and things to pay. Most of us have a job where we clocking in. At some point in time, there's gonna be some kind of conflict or something's going to happen, because I feel like a person who says that they don't like conflict and they don't, so I'm going to be quiet because I don't like it. Essentially, that's a yes man person. Because if you don't like conflict, what are you going to do? You're going to say whatever it is to pacify that person or to rectify that situation, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to be to say yes. So to me, a person that does not have conflict resolution skills.
They teach that in elementary.
Huh?
They teach that in elementary school.
She's throwing mad shade right now.
But that is correct, though.
They teach that. They teach that in elementary school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At the end of the day, there is there is a way for, I'm a firm believer in there's a way to say everything. Even the hard conversations still need to be had. And so, Charlotte, I do agree with that. I know you felt like that was unpopular, but no, I agree with that. When you just say, I don't do conflict, then that means even when something is valid, oh, we got another guest. Hold on, let me add Andrea on. Let me get her in here. She should pop up on the screen. Even when something is valid, you should still be able to be mature and listen, to what is going on. You can't just like, oh, so I knew a person who would be in the wrong, and anytime you brought the wrong, they'd be like, see, I don't do all that negativity. I don't do this negativity, this negative energy, and I don't do negativity, and then didn't want to have the kind. It was like, wait a minute. Someone having an issue with you and wanting to express that verbally, and then y'all have that conversation, that's not negativity. It doesn't feel good when someone holds you accountable. That doesn't make it negative energy. It means we having an uncomfortable conversation. Conflict isn't comfortable at the end of the day. So if we got to have a conversation, you can't run from it when you're in the hot seat. And I'm saying, let me listen. This is what you said yesterday. Okay. And I appreciate that. And let me tell you why. And this how it made me feel. And you just, I can't deal with all this negativity. I do. And I was, I thought that was the honest thing. So it really does show that you don't have any conflict resolution skills if you just say, I don't do conflict.
Or they always want to make it seem like
can't handle it.
I'm trying to argue with them. How am I trying to argue with you and I'm telling you how I felt about this situation? I'm trying to have a discussion with you. Like, I'm not mad. I'm just trying to discuss this with you. And then they're coming at you like, oh, you're just trying to argue with me. It's like, no, I'm trying to have a conversation with you. Like,
yep. And avoidance of conflict is going to come from lack of boundaries with parents also. Ooh, very true. When your opinion doesn't matter, you assume everyone else's opinion is more valid. That is very, very true. When you, I don't know, I think everyone wants to feel like they matter. Like in when we're talking about boundaries, if you can sit and listen to what pains me, whatever it is, then that shows that that I matter. If you just like, I don't want to hear none of that. Like, why would anybody feel valued? Especially when you will still want that value from me in other areas. You can't value me here and not value me over here. You can't value somebody when everything feels good, and when it don't, or it's something you may not want to hear, then you just like, mm-mm. So we got Andrea on here. Did you want to chime in and add to the conversation? You are. Make sure. She popped off. Let me see. It may have.
Yeah.
Let me bring her back. That was a good one. This is turning a whole other conversation.
One of my red flags, if a woman has children, a red flag for me would be how she treats her kids.
Mm-hmm.
If she don't put her kids first, and in the dating stage, and I don't see that their well-being is something that she's consistent on and taking care of, then I know when it comes to me, it's going to be similar to the same thing. And so that would be something that I would look at if she has children. Now, if she doesn't have children, then it would, it might kind of differ. Then I would have to just kind of observe and see, if it's all about her and what she want to do and, hanging out and, now it's different. If she has a career and she's trying to get ahead in life, and that's different. But if it's always her and her friends, then, that would kind of be a red flag for me.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be a red flag if you ran across a woman and her children were extremely they misbehaved a lot? We'll say it like that. We'll say it nicely. She had some
unruly children.
Yes, there you go. Thank you.
Bad as hell. Oh,
children.
sorry.
Would
Now,
that be a deal breaker for you?
now that's gonna cause confusion with the man. And so, me personally, if a woman has some bad children, and I don't want to say bad, but unruly kids,
Unruly,
I'm
lack
I'm
of boundaries.
I'm an '80s baby, so I believe in belts and switches and all of that. And so obviously that's not going on. So I'm going to say, well, why aren't you whooping him? Why you let him get away with that? Why you letting him? And then if the kids are old enough to say something back, smart, and then that's going to be another thing. And I'm be like, oh, that's not going to work, because if she letting them get away with that, then I'm more of a disciplinarian. And it's like, child needs to be put in a place when they're doing something wrong. And if she just let them run over and do anything, then that's going to be a problem. And so that'll be a flag. That'll be just something for me just to back up and not even pursue.
Okay.
Now, is there such thing
I got
as
one.
doing more? Is there such thing as doing too much for the kids? I always try to swing it the other
spoiling
way.
them?
Yeah, they can be respectful kids, but you spoiling them. Is it too?
Now, if they deserve to be spoiled, it's one thing. And I grew up with my grandparents, and they pretty much gave me everything that I wanted. But I mean, I got a taste of the streets, and that led me to prison and all of that. But in the house, I was respectful, and so I was going to school. I was getting good grades. I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, and so therefore, I could get what I pretty much asked for my grandmother. My grandfather, he was kind of stern. He would kind of give me what I needed, and then when I got a little older, he kind of gave me what I wanted or whatever. And so, spoiling a bad child, you just giving them what they want just so they can be quiet and do it. No. Now, if they're doing what they're supposed to do, getting good grades and taking care of their business, and it's not putting her in a strain or a bind, I don't see a problem with that. Because if it comes a time where something that needs to be done and the child understands, like, this is my responsibility, I got these chores, I had this to do, and they take heed to that and they do it, then that's a good thing. You reward good behavior.
Yeah.
Just giving it to them because they're hollering and screaming and acting crazy and this, and you just like, here, just so they can get off your nerves.
Now I have one in regards, a red flag in regards to somebody with children. I think, and this is in general, that I think everybody should be considerate of. And I don't know, this always has bothered me. Like, I've seen friends, with their children and they're dating, is when they immediately let the new person, they don't really know them that well yet, and they let them meet their kids. That drives me up the wall.
No,
I don't know them yet to know. Not saying that you have a trust issue, but you should always be careful when you are bringing a new person into your life, and you have children, especially if they're minors. You have kids. You don't just be like, just invite them to the house and, here are my kids, and let them sit up with your children. To me, that's an absolute no. And it's not just a male thing. So let me talk about it from both standpoints. Okay, so as a woman, of course, you have your children, and you do have to still kind of take that protection mode. Of course, you hear all these things in the news about predators and things like that, and you hear these stories in the news. A woman, she had these children, she was dating this dude, whatever. She let him, watch the kids. Boom, something happens to the child. The child has been sexually assaulted, molested, or the child, he did something to the child, and the child is gone. Child has passed away. And it's at the hands of the new boyfriend. You just don't know, and you do have to be careful. Now, let's flip it. On the same token, with men, you have children and you're dating somebody. Don't think that it's cool because she's a woman and she's harmless, and just introduce her to your children. She could mistreat your children. She could be totally psycho. She could be a bad influence, like Tommy, how you were saying. She could be a predator as well. Tommy, how you were saying, even if she don't have children, you still watch her, because she could still be out in the street. That could be her whole aura, and her vibe is that she just out there. She really don't have those boundaries for her own life and certain level of morals. Right. And you don't want to just be like, here, you can sit up with my kids. until you know that, for sure, how that person is, y'all spirit recognize spirit.
Right.
And sometimes there's so many vibes that we get and we ignore all this stuff and we be like, oh, but I like them, so it's important that no matter whether they're male or female, that you make sure and you get to know them for yourself totally separate before they ever lay eyes or breathe the same air as your children. They can see a picture and be like, yep, these my kids. End the discussion. Um mm-mm,
It,
don't be letting them stay over and spend the night. Don't do that.
and that's a hard one. I don't definitely agree with you. Don't bring them right off the bat. But also too, I feel like you shouldn't say that you're gonna be with this individual until they have had some kind of interaction with your children.
That's true
Because
too.
you can really be liking this person, like you say, spirits recognize spirit. Children pick up on things.
Right.
So, what do you do when you have those situations where you're really feeling this guy, and then you introduce them to your children because you feel like y'all getting ready to get serious, and your children don't like him
I mean, that's
Well,
okay,
or
but
like
not a
him
week
or her?
later. Not a week later,
right.
like not a week later, or
Yeah.
not maybe even a month. If you really feeling a dude, then yes, of course, you want them to meet after y'all been together for some time and y'all feeling each other and y'all trying to take the step going forward to
But
the next
then
level.
But then you're saying after that point, time has passed, you're sure, and then the kids,
Don't
okay,
like
the
don't like
kids don't.
this person.
I think that that's a very sensitive area because I've been through that growing up as a kid, and I think that it's important. It puts the parent in a very weird space because for me, I feel like you should do a little investigating. Why is it that your children don't like this person? 'Cause like you said, they the best judges of character is children, animals and children. So
Mhm.
if your children don't like them, something just may be up. And it may be something that you may be overlooking simply because you like them so much. And so the kids may be like,
That could be one, but it
mm-mm.
also can be
That's
because
just,
the kid is
that was
liking
my
their
number
mama
two.
first.
My number two is that they could be feeling some type of way just because they don't want a new person in the space. They
Well, you
may
know, I dealt
know
with that one of my
that,
friends. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Then he had a
Yeah,
bunch of kids, and the
they know
mom
their
passed away,
mom
and he
or their
married again.
dad,
So
right? And they feel like this is a new person, and this person he's trying to, dad is trying to replace mom, or mom is trying to replace my dad, or something like that. And
mhm.
so they may be resistant. So I think in that point, it's
So
just worth having a
does age play
conversation.
a factor in that? The age of the children?
No, I don't think so. I think children of all ages
Yeah,
kind of feel that way if they have a good relationship with the parent that's no longer like in the house. Not saying that the parent is
especially if they
active,
have
but
talking
in the
age.
house.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if they have a good relationship with both of their parents, then I think that could be a struggle at any age. It could be a, a girl, she's 17, she's daddy's girl, and now mom is dating,
Right,
and
but
then
at that point, they know a little bit about life. They probably have had a little boyfriend or a little crush, so they are on that cusp
some,
of entering adulthood.
yeah,
So
I feel I feel
so
like the older ones give a harder time than the younger ones probably would. The older
They
ones are
do.
probably the ones they like, no, was my life, or this is how I want it to be, and this is the only woman I want in my life is my mom, this is my dad, this is it. And so
so do
they
you
probably
think?
would give them a hard time
So do you
before
look
the
at
younger one
it as
would.
do you look at it as a bigger red flag if it's those, I'm just going to say, those 15, 16, 17-year olds that got a problem with this individual versus that 3, 4, 5-year old where they're probably not looking at it as, mom's trying to replace my dad or
I
anything. They're young and
I get what you're saying. I think if a younger kid has a problem with them, that's probably a bigger red flag because they probably like they're sensing something. I think if it's an older one, they may have their own personal reasons that have nothing to do with anything that they've really experienced with that person yet, and they just may be resistant because of what they're accustomed to or what they want to happen, their vision, their fairy tale for what they want for their parents. I think I get what you're saying. I do feel like younger children are more sensitive to things like that. So that would definitely be a bigger red flag if they were younger. If they was like, I just don't like them, and I don't know why. Like I don't know why. I'm just not feeling them. That would to me. I think that's valid. I think that's valid, and it would definitely be there would be a whole lot of conversations happening. Um, you know, because and if they can't put their finger on it, that's tough. Because there's really no explanation, and it's tough. But it definitely puts the person as the parent in a very very hard position because you're battling your family versus kind of where your heart is, and but you got to make the best decision. Um, and That's tough because you never really know what the best decision is. And I can, like I said, I definitely it's kind of experienced that growing up as the kid where my mom had to always be considerate, and but she did. I felt like she did the best. She did a great job, just making sure she talked to us, and if we, had an issue with things like that, we would, have those conversations. So, but everybody doesn't do that. I was very fortunate. A lot of people don't do that. They just figure, oh, y'all kids, y'all know nothing, and this is who I love, and so this is it. And
Deal with
they totally ignore the feelings of the children. And then you have some, like I said, where the kids just don't want nobody in the house. They don't want anybody around. And their mom always just cuts everybody off because the kid throws a fit. And so, it's like, what do you do? And so that's really hard to navigate. I'm sure that's really hard to navigate.
Well, I think we have had a very good discussion
We
tonight.
did. We did. We ran a little bit over, but we did
Yeah.
good.
I want to thank all of our guests, all of the positive comments that were in the chat. I want to thank
Hmm.
y'all for jumping on and commenting as well.
And thank you to our guest, Tommy. Tommy, you don't know. We really, really do appreciate you being that voice. Listen, we're gonna make you a regular.
Yeah, because I
Um,
like him.
we
He
I
don't
know
sound like he is.
we really appreciate you being on here and having that male voice because of course, we could as women, we have our opinions that we could keep and stay in our own head space and think what we want. So we really do appreciate having that balance there. We don't want to make you like the spokesperson for the men, but right now I mean you kind of are. So
It's him.
but
He is. It's him.
he is. But you gave the mature like how you were talking about, man versus boy and the immaturity thing. You gave the mature kind of perspective and answers. Just to kind of, I mean, it was probably more helpful than you realize. So we do appreciate you, being on. So stay
Thanks for
tuned. We're
having me. Thanks for
gonna put
having
you
me.
on the next show. We're gonna put you on the next show. So
Well, yes, well, y'all.
and
Well, thank
all
you
of our
tonight.
viewers,
And thank you to my co-host. I am so happy to be
Thank
a
you to
part of
you.
this. Y'all, we are on to something. We are going to be a household name with our pure conversation. So I'm excited and ready for the next one.
yep. So stay tuned for we already have our next topic and show set. So stay tuned for the link. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and also our Facebook page, Pure Conversations. You can like that as well. Turn your notifications on so that you'll get the post. You'll get notified when the next show and topic is posted and you kind of know what's going on. So we're not going to hold y'all all night long. We appreciate all the viewers tuning in. I know we've shared this different places. It's on my page. It's in our VIP groups and things like that. So we really, really enjoyed having the conversation. Andrea is commenting in the chat. It's not showing publicly, but she was trying to come on. But thank you to all who participated in the conversation and kind of gave us some feedback. So stay tuned for the next show, and we are signing off. Pure conversation. So, good night, everybody.